Is it really a nation on the brink? Mr. Terrible starts this live off. Well, get this party started. What's good? It's been a minute since I did a live. I'll do that when I can at this moment. I've been doing a lot of recorded videos trying to get my grift game right. But the cabal, they got their grift game. They got their grift game right going after Donald Trump. Really, really good stuff, man. From an evil standpoint, you got to respect your enemy when they do some stuff. And there's a lot of right wing cope going on here about Donald Trump winning the 2024 election. My plan for today, before I read the Mr. Terrible comment, the plan for today is the plan is how long do we go before we get derailed? But I don't always get derailed. Civil war chatter spreads on social media. Andrew Tate goes Niger. Cheers inside the Biden campaign. This is all about the Trump indictment, the conviction, of course. Hillary cheers. Man, she's looking ugly. She's looking rough these days. Calls to boycott NYC. There's a little bit. That's a positive. That's actually a positive. Ron DeSantis' statement. There's a lot that can be done that's not being done. I want to talk about that. Kash Patel, terrible statement. I like Kash, but I mean, we all have different goals. Some of these guys have that goal with 2024 in the election. That ain't my goal. Do a 1 in the chat if the audio's good. I appreciate it. It's been a minute. I usually struggle when it's been more than a couple days. Don't max your credit. Well, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I always have to catch myself. I'm not going to max my credit cards out to donate to Donald Trump, but some people are. Social media and Trump winning in 2024, the right-wing cope, cringe feminine energy, all this stuff. If you're voting for Trump, follow me. Then I might end with how the 3-letter agencies run this show. The positive, I'm going to do a positive before I go with that, but my positive takeaway will be America First and the Mises Caucus. Even though the Libertarians had a rough go. Donald Trump, in the middle of a trial, right before he's convicted, took the time to go talk to the Libertarians, and they didn't. They're just so. I know I'm off topic. I'm already off the rails. It's 7 minutes in. It's over. I'm already off the rails. I still don't understand. And I'm talking about the non-Mises Caucus Libertarians. Let me be clear. I'm not talking about Clint Russell. I'm not talking about Kyle Dave Smith. I do have some feedback for them, but this right here. So Trump goes to talk to the Libertarians in the middle of him being convicted for 34 counts of 34 felonies. And the Libertarians are so, I don't even know, they're so autistic, they're so aloof, they're so stupid, they don't even understand the ramifications of what's happening. I know it's fine if you want to boo them, but do it with the understanding of what the ramification of the moment. They had none. It's the weirdest group of people. I swear to you, man. That is a weird group of people. And I think the Mises Caucus, they're gonna get some pesticide, some insecticide, some termite. You know how they bag up the homes and then they try to get the termites out of there? That's what they're going to have to do with that party, man, because they got a bunch of weirdos over there. Mr. Terrible says, the nation is not on brink. MAGA people I know are whining about Disney and video game wokeness. I'm guilty to that as well. Even after verdict. I haven't done it after the verdict, but, within a couple days, we'll be talking about Black Samurais and the women girl bosses of Star Wars and how cringe that is. Yeah, that's what so I'm not going to put myself separate from this criticism. This is legit criticism from Mr. Terrible. Even after the verdict, we are lost. Yep, I'm not going to be here selling optimism when there is some, but I'm not going to just sell all this stuff as optimism. Seeing some people say, don't be black-pilled. I don't even have that message for you. Here's what's happening. You do with that message, with that information, what you will. Thanks for stopping by. Toy Mafia, great friend of the show. Ray, What's the good? We'll do another one. Don't worry. I didn't know you could hop on, but we'll do another one. This isn't live, right? Yeah, this is live. This is live. It's been a while. Bobby's like, there's no way you do. I got a little cough, man. Bobby, you making me cough. Bobby's like, it's been a minute. This ain't live, right? No, it is live. It is alive. Yeah, I can go. I can still go live. Let's go to. I'm gonna do a quick. Tim had about an hour into his show. Had a good something I wanted to react to. All safe cybersecurity. I really do care what people have to say about this, though. So let me know where you're at. I mean, it's like the other day, my wife was baking something, and she had the food processor on the counter, and it was on, but it was on the edge. And I was about 10 feet away, and I kind of saw it shaking, and it felt like I was a mile away because I felt like I was frozen, like I couldn't do anything. And it's shaking, and I'm like, damn, that thing's gonna fall off the counter onto the floor. Pretty big, heavy thing. And I'm like, damn, I felt like I was right there, but I didn't even move fast enough. Sometimes my reflexes are like, ooh, I'm still like, I got it, little cat like. That time I was like a sloth. And I said, like, I didn't say no. I was like, ah, and it fell on the floor. And I also said before, when they raided Mar-a-Lago, America is in a political and, more importantly, cultural and social 9/11. It's just happening in slow motion. So it's like a little bit every single day. It's gruesome. And what's happening with the country is gruesome, man. But that's what's happening. All Safe Cybersecurity Service with a Smile says, I hate the pills, black pill, white pill, red pill, whatever it is, all stupid meme crap that isn't serious. I mean, it's just, all it is optimism or pessimism, though. So yeah, I get you on it. It's just, I mean, if you're on the internet a lot, that's, I mean, cringe and all these kind of stupid words, but I'm on the internet so much, that's the lingo that I even use. I mean, it's hard for me not to use them, but I hear you on that. Why don't you just say optimism, pessimism? I don't even have the vocabulary. I need a thesaurus to get through other options other than those. But I hear you with that for sure. It's cringe. I'm going to use internet lingo to describe internet lingo. What's up, cuz? Kevin. Is that Kevin Holmes? That's on YouTube. What's up? Bobby Ballbags said, yes, finally, glad to see it. Yeah, it's been a minute. Hope you're doing well. This one's got to be a live, man. This can't be a recorded. Old age starting to catch up. Yeah, with me, that's for sure. Yeah, for sure. Should have. Okay, so let me go in and let me do the Tim Pool react real quick. I was watching the show today, as I always do, big fan. And this is the moment that caught my attention about an hour. The first hour was just basically your standard stuff, and this caught my attention.
For them, because people have their families to look out for. They have they have to put food on the table. They have their own lives that they're living. They need to know that somebody is looking out for them out there, and it rarely feels like that's happening.
Yeah, man, I wonder. Come November, with we had that tweet where someone said it was Inez Stepman saying the loser's going to jail. I can't predict what November 6th looks like. No one will accept the results. It's just not going to happen. And so what will this country be a month later? Now, there's apparently warnings, concern that Trump supporters might riot. They're saying in New York something, Trump supporters don't riot. That's not going to happen. You get like
base. That's true. And that's good. If anybody's around you talking about some type of violence, or you can talk about civil war, but if you're talking about it as if you want to participate in something like that, you should be outside, just like they did with Ray Epps, yelling Fed. Stay away from me. You are problematic. But yeah, he's right. There's not going to be nobody's doing that.
You got like one riot in what, 8 years?
Yeah.
To the how many during the summer of 2020?
Right.
And they stayed within the ropes, remember, in the Capitol.
Don't. But other people are saying that when the right's breaking point is not rioting, it's civil war. The right are the people who are at home with their kids.
Off topic. Kevin Holmes, what's good? Got fam in the building. Appreciate you.
And they're like, I don't have time. I'm busy with the family. To get a far leftist, trust fund kid in college, to get up and go scream and throw bricks ain't hard. They got nothing to do.
Right.
To get a working class mom or dad to set their kids aside, find a babysitter, and go out and be angry, it's not gonna. They're not gonna protest. They're gonna say, "Look, I don't have time to go rally in the street. I gotta get the kids from school. I gotta come back. I gotta make dinner. You know, dad's coming home from work. He's gonna be tired. He's gotta wash laundry. All of these things."
That's why it always comes back, and this is on me. It always comes back to that country over there. But that's why it makes it kind of frustrating with Tim's take on that country, because what Tim's saying here is basically very relatable to many people in the country. I got 2 kids, 7 and 5. Even regardless of my non-aggression principle, no proactive type of violence or anything like that. That's my beliefs. Even regardless of that, I got 2 kids. I'm not going in no street nowhere. And that's what Tim's talking about. People got their kids, man. They trying to change diapers. They trying to take their kids to basketball practice. They're trying to fill out paperwork for summer camps or whatever. You know, you got all this other stuff you're gonna do, man. Nobody is really following this thing, number one. So the people who are following this, you are in a very select group right now. You are in the 1%. I mean, it's under 5 for sure. If you're following this and you understand, if you even understand that it's not a hush money trial, that it's business falsifications, which is a misdemeanor, which the statutes of limitations were already up. Statute of limitations were already up on this thing. If you know that much, you're already under 5%. Much less how they twisted it to a felony, you're probably under 2% of the country that even understand what happened there. So, yeah, it's much less the energy to do it. You're only talking about a very small percentage of the country.
So when that breaking point finally does happen and people with families are forced to take action, the action is more substantial. Basically, that family is a dam holding back the regular people from acting out. Now, I think what the right would do, and it's the colloquial right, not the, like the boogeyman right. I mean, just like Elon Musk, right? They call him right wing. What do regular people who are fed up do? Break confidence in the system. They stop listening. They might not pay their taxes. I mean, that would be one of the most devastating things. They're not going to go out and protest.
No, they're not doing that either. But he's going to say something I really agree with in a second here.
They're just going to be like, I don't even know what the point. There's no government, so why am I paying? And then all of a sudden, we just see April 2025 record low tax filing, something from people who just don't think there's a government anymore.
He's just giving scenarios here. That's not happening, because one of the big takeaways from today is most everybody still believes in the system. There's no call to leave the system. There's no call. Everyone's talking about this banana republic. If you live in a banana republic, wouldn't the first thing you want to do is to leave the banana republic? You're not trying to take it over. I mean, the leader of much of the dissident part of this country is potentially going to be locked up. I think he will be. I think that's what the judge is going to do. I think the judge is going to do, I think it's July 11th or something like that. Is it July? I think it was July 11th sentencing. So he's convicted. Next part is sentencing, to my knowledge. And what I expect is 6 months, some type of, maybe more. I don't know. He could do 4 years for each one. So he could do up to 136, I think, 136 years. I don't see that, because I think they would want to do it. But if you do that, the more you do, the more people wake up. I mean, one of the things that woke me up was the Charlottesville lie. When I watched MSNBC all the time, and then I thought that was a fact, the way that they did it, both sides lied. And I couldn't believe it when I actually saw what he said. I couldn't believe. I'm like, would they really lie about something like that? It just wakes you up. And maybe the trial verdict will a little bit, but the problem is everything is curated online. So who is it going to wake up? It's not spilling out of that echo chamber. That's why you saw a lot of big accounts on X. They tried to make it spill out of the echo chamber, but you can't. It's almost like somebody on there, I think it was Jay Bhattacharya, one of the doctors that was very, vocal against the pandemic nonsense. And he was talking about, I think, the government censoring speech. And I was like, we're trying to expose the government for censoring speech on a platform where the government censors speech online. It's just not going to work. I'm not knocking Jay. I do the same thing, but it's not going anywhere. So they have that siloed really good. So I think people are saying, well, there are all these donations coming in, all that. I don't know how much this is leaking out. Tim seems to think that it is. I don't think it's leaking out anywhere. It's bouncing off the walls between you and me and everybody else who already kind of is open to these discussions. That's the power of controlling online. So you're not going to see people stop paying their taxes. They believe in the system. Donald Trump didn't have to show up to arraignment. Why did he show up to arraignment? For what? He has Secret Service protection. I would rather, to me, that would have earned me some respect. I'm not voting for a Zio, so that's out. I'm on a Zio-free diet, so there would be no voting for Trump, but I would have more respect. But I'm not against Trump, obviously. But I would have more respect if he would have said, let's just pop this pimple. I ain't showing up for arraignment. We're going to have to take this straight to the Supreme Court. Or you've got men with weapons they're going to have to face off. And you saw that they were ready to do that. With the Mar-a-Lago raid instructions, they were ready. The cabal tried to say it was a template. So the template said use lethal force. Use lethal force if necessary, basically paraphrasing, in the instructions for the raid. And then they tried to say, well, it was just a template. A template? That whether it was a template or not, that's what was in the document. So they were obviously ready for men with weapons to be pointing at each other. And I think Trump should have had it go to that. Because I think that would have been a standoff, and that would have rushed it to the Supreme Court, in my opinion. You give the court legitimacy, Trump deserves all of this. He can still stop it. He doesn't have to show up for sentencing at all. I wouldn't show up for sentencing. Why would he show up for this sham? It's been proven to be a sham. And for those who think it's legit, I don't even have any. Why would I argue with you? It's just like the election. You think it's legit. I don't. Okay. Why can't we just respect both of our opinions and then understand we can't share a country together? Bobby Ballbag says, I don't see a way out. There's definitely a way out. It's not soon, though. But I pray. So what I pray for is that it's a peaceful way out. But there's definitely a way out. They will keep believing in it until it shows up to their door. Yep. That's exactly what I was thinking about this with when Tim said, you got your families, you got your kids, you're doing all this work stuff. You hear about this conviction, you're like, damn, this messed up. They convicted, Trump impeached twice. All these things, FISA courts, spied on, literally spied on. Nobody, no problems with it. There's no consequences for it. Illegal spying on Trump before he even became president. All these different firsts than the Mar-a-Lago raid and all these other firsts. It's not going to change these families, including myself. I'm not doing anything other than talking. So let me not separate myself. It's not going to do anything until it shows up at your door. 24 minutes in is the first knock reference. Then when we're in the gulags, then, yeah, we might think of it a little bit differently. All Safe says, I know it's the lingo, but I'm just trying to think seriously about court cases like today, which are historic. We are in trouble as a nation, and that isn't a black pill. It's just a fact. That's exactly where I'm at. It's not a black pill. It's not. It's just this is where we're at. And there's no push to do anything. We'll get to that in a second. I'll just do a little bit more of this.
Kind of a lose-lose situation because even if they succeed, by they I mean the ones doing this to Trump, then to me it's like, well, what is this?
Well, understand their motivations. They don't.
Well, I've talked about what it is. What it is it's a secession. The blue states have teamed up with the federal government. So the blues, we're seeing insurrection, sedition, treason right here. The blue states have teamed up with the federal government to go against their political enemies. The red states are a part of it too. Georgia did that in 2020. I know they passed some laws here to shore up the election for 2024, but they were in on it in 2020. So it's not even just blue states. It's blue areas and blue power. I would consider Brian Kemp and Brad Raffensperger blue power. And they've teamed up against the red counties or areas, or basically the few red people splattered all over the country to take over the country, reinterpret the Constitution. That's why they're going after the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court's like the last. They already got D.C. on lock. D.C.'s done. Even you got a couple MAGA, but the MAGAs are all Zios. So it's not like they're out of the. Trump is too. So you're good there. The Supreme Court, it has had some rulings that are problematic to. I don't know how that's happened, but they have had some rulings that are problematic to the same people who have done this sham or behind the sham proceedings with Trump. And they're going after Alito. They're going hard after Clarence Thomas. So that's why. If they had that, that'd be a wrap. We'd all have needles in our arms. I mean, you couldn't work without a needle in your arm. Even if I think the OSHA one said if you're at home, you didn't have to. I forget. But a lot of companies were still on their own being like, I want to be a good soldier. So even if you're working at home, you got to get a needle in your arm, believe it or not.
Care if the system burns down. They're scared that they will lose power.
Right.
And so these are the kind of people that are willing to throw wave after wave of their own men into kill bots if it means they can stay in political power.
It's not great, you know?
Yeah, I agree, and I'll stop it there. But I think I don't think they're worried about losing power. What power are they losing? Even with Trump, it's not the worst case scenario for them. The worst case scenario is true power with the people. And they're not really worried about that. I think they do want to take over for some type of global agenda. We saw that the organization that YouTube wants you to follow for your health in the world, it looks like the pandemic treaty fell apart. And fell apart in large part because of America, Constitution, and there's enough people where it's not politically convenient to agree with a global approach to a pandemic. And that's what they want to do. They want to squash that. So once you take over, you reinterpret the Constitution, you can do a lot. And then they can say, let's do the global stuff. That's what I think is going to happen. But let's look at these reactions here. Civil war chatter spreads on social media. It's crazy. Tim Pool actually talked about the Civil War there, but I'm going to leave that alone for right now. The country is heading for civil war. So that's not a call for it. I don't know who Jake Slade is, but that's not a call for it. Not that statement by itself. That's just basically, I agree with it. It's not a fact, but I agree with it. This place is heading towards civil war. MAGA's having a meltdown in the courtroom. That's, I don't think it was a meltdown. It's a cope is what I would call it. It's the end of the world and we're descending into civil war. Did I get that right? Yeah. We're on that path. Today might just be the day that goes down in history as the start of the second civil war in the United States. I didn't have that on my bucket list. You've seen tons of chatter on that. I haven't seen the Civil War movie. Has anybody seen it? I thought it was a little off-putting. I'll eventually see it at some point. It's just too off-putting to be that on the nose to kind of steal the Ben Shapiro line from the Daily Wire ad. Jeremy Boring says, "Do y'all run Hollywood? Why you acting something to the effect of y'all run Hollywood now?" And Ben Shapiro says, two on the nose? Yeah, that movie, the Civil War movie, was 2 on the nose for me. So I don't know. I might see it, I might not. Andrew Tate weighed in. Let's see what Andrew Tate had to say. Thought-provoking tweet. No, because you know what? Everybody's got their take. So Andrew Tate said, donating 2,000K to my Niger Trump. We go with the hard ER. Let's go. That's how serious the moment is. Andrew Tate goes with the hard ER. I would have no problem going with the hard ER. I don't know what YouTube does with it. I've heard people do it on YouTube. Ray Studios always has his little joke in the chat. I forgot what the joke goes, but he makes it sound like it and says, "Hey, my name is Nig," and then it's like, "Okay, my last name is Donating 2K for my Niger Trump. That's a dope. I'm mad I didn't get that tweet off first. That is a great tweet. That is, what is that? How many words is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 words? That's dope. That's how you send a tweet. Cue the Berber. Okay, let's see. We got some. All Safe saw the Civil War movie. The Civil War movie is pretty meh. It plays it safe, but the president, who is a bad guy, is a coded Trump. Of course. Of course it had to be. It had to have some Trump hate in it. Boy, life, what's up? Sir Tinley says Civil War speculation. While it is possible, it is unlikely. Or it would be some different way about it, like controlling courts and local government. Yeah, we're already in the Civil War. To be clear, when we say Civil War, we're talking about kinetic, which you could say we're kind of there, but it's not like a straight full-blown. Is it possible? In that clip with Tim, he does get into that a little bit more in like detail, like, hey, we're in a different place. It's not going to go the same way. But of course it's going to be different. But if it's kinetic, it's kinetic. Mike Has Bad Knees, what's up? Mike Has Bad Knees says, I don't think the powers would care if there was a civil war. Let me think about that. Mike always got some comment to make me think. I got to think about it. So I don't think the powers would care. I don't know about that one. Because I think the powers want centralized power. If there is kinetic civil strife, I don't know if that goes towards, it would give them excuse to try to be more heavy-handed, but with the way the country is, there's no federal government that can really stop that. There's no easy stop on that. And the fact that there are no clear territories actually makes it more difficult for the federal government, in my opinion, in some ways to put that out. I mean, you could be splattered all over. I mean, you don't know, people who are on whatever side are all over the place. So there's not a big heavy-handed weapon like Joe Biden was talking about. Well, the government has F-16s. What does that do? That's not, those things are they could go Israel. That's one of the things in Comic Dave Smith's part of the problem. The classic line is something to the effect of, it's actually Jimmy Dore who said this one. Something to the effect of, if you want to know how they treat us here, just look at how they treat other countries. And we support Israel. Israel just basically recently had a oopsie. My bad. We accidentally melted the skin of innocent women and children in a refugee camp, basically, that we huddled them over to. And my bad. Oops. Like they had spilled coffee on the floor or something like that. Oh, my bad. Sorry about that. And the U.S. supports it. And Nikki Haley was just over there signing bombs She put I think she said, it's so crazy, man. She went over to Israel. I don't know if she's still there now. She met with Benjamin Netanyahu, and in her spare time, she walked up to some bombs. I don't even know which ones. I'm trying to learn the weaponry, but I forget which ones, the smaller ones. And she basically put on there something to the effect of finish him. And that was the joke we had. And she's leaned all the way into it. Finish him. She signed the bomb. Basically, like, from Nikki with love. I mean, these are bombs we all know there's probability that innocents are going to be unlived with these bombs. And she's signing them like it's a baseball card in the 80s. And we support that. Yeesh. So what my point of bringing that up is, if you're on, doesn't matter what side you're on, you better look at what they're doing over there in that country, because they like to spray. They aren't targeted. So they say over there, if we get basically one of the hummus people, we can unlive about 100 or so women and children, innocents. We're good with that. They do the same thing here. So, and we're splattered all over the country. There's no like hotbed nowhere, not Georgia, nowhere. I mean, you can kind of look at more red than not, but I think they do the same spraying here. They'd be like, if you are this group, this red group, and maybe there's some blue people living around, you see what they did over there? They do the same thing here. Boom, 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 boom. Oops, my bad. Sorry. Wipe out families, innocents, just to get a couple maggots. I think that's, don't want, well, I say that to say nobody wants that. Because a lot of these people, I think they would be safe. Because they brown nosing, they're doing whatever for the establishment. They don't care. They don't give a damn about you. You are a useful idiot. Yeah, they would definitely use it to, they definitely would. And that's the thought. I think Tim brought that up in one of his segments, that pushing closer to World War III could be part of the way for them to get more control here. If there's a direct war between Russia and China, then the United States government they could do it now, but they would have more justification to freeze the Bill of Rights, basically. Free speech, done. Because you can't say anything that would be supporting the enemy. There would be no more young Nick if that war happened, that direct, you don't want that, because that will go straight to nukes quickly. But if that were to happen, it would be no more young Nick, with his young white men, Putin. Nah, they'll come straight through. Feds would come straight through. You have no first. Look at what they did in Ukraine with Zelensky, basically rounding up all the dissidents, shutting down the journalists, all you independent journalists. That's a wrap. You're done. You're absolutely done if there's a direct war. Why should we get, let's take a look. Mikel says, why should we get violent? Look at all the support Trump has just received. You need to hydrate with your video title. I don't know what that means. Is it too thirsty? Yeah, I'm getting a little thirsty. Okay, can a brother try to get a little thirsty? No, I'm not. What is the title? The title is Live React to TIMCAST IRL. So that's grift. I don't give a damn about that. I'm a Tim fan, don't get me wrong. But I don't give a damn about that TIMCAST IRL clip. YouTube just don't give a damn about me if I don't talk about Tim. So that's that. Trump convicted. I think that's a fact, right? I mean, is it when the jury does the verdict, are you convicted? I'll have to look that up, all these legal terms, but it's justified for me to say that. Nation on the Brink of Chaos. That's a soft title. I could have went way harder than, maybe the thumbnail. A thumbnail said Civil War next. But I put a question mark in it, didn't I? So I put the question mark in there. So Ben Shapiro said, you guys ask questions when you really want to make a statement. Yeah, it's true sometimes. But that's for like propaganda, bro. That's not like serious. Yeah, Bobby Ballbags, like, man, if you don't want a civil conflict in this country, if the federal government, did they address that in the movie? Allstate, if you're still watching, they spray and no pray. They just straight spray. They don't care who they catch. So you don't want those problems. It's kind of ironic. A lot of people who don't care about what's going on in Israel, it's only because it's not happening to you. If you live in an area and there was a gang and the gang ran over and the gang controls your area and the gang ran over to another area and started wilding, pop, 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 October 7th. And then that area started, it's technically not a carpet bomb, but that area came and just indiscriminately, bop, 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 bop. You wouldn't feel the same way. I know that. G-Man says, idiotic take. I hate wokeness and lots of things on the left, but some of you idiots on the right are so lame. For some Trump can do no wrong. All the jury crazy, but random YouTubers know the truth. That's too vague for me, bro. Be more specific. I can get specific. I will bore you. Everybody in the chat knows that. I will stop the live and I will look for the minutia if we need to. Please don't. We can derail on that too. It's that thumbnail title, bro. What's with the thumbnail title? It says Civil War next, ? What's wrong with that? I'm not looking for it. Oh, come on, bro. Derek Spencer said, yeah, your thumbnail seemed like Civil War is next. The thumbnail says Civil War next, ? And I am a peaceful person, so just to be clear, I've had that agitate Niger tweet up there for quite a bit. That could be a problem. That could be a problem. But I'm a peaceful bro. I hope you know that, Eric. That's why, see, I had that question mark. See, I didn't say Civil War next. I said Civil War next. Just like, see, Tate sent the tweet out and it said Niger. If he would have said nigga, it would have been all good. Nobody would have cared. That vernacular matters. Mike has bad knees. I didn't even see the title. Just saw my boy streaming, so I joined. I appreciate you. Did you get your book yet? Or I don't know did you order Yaira? I jinxed Eric July, man. I said Yaira was gonna get like 10 mil, but still obviously a successful campaign. Can't wait. I saw mine shipped. I got the email today that mine shipped, so I'll get my Yaira book. I'm looking forward to that. I still didn't do a reaction to the shout out to Eric July because I'm sidetracking the bro who made this comic book here. Let me get that nice year tweet off there. That was not good. The bro who made this comic book right here is doing a new one with Yaira, the female. I don't even know if she's a good guy or a bad guy. That's kind of, I talked to my kids about that. That's kind of how you got to, it's kind of complicated whether somebody's good or bad. We'll learn more. But he's coming out with the Yaira book, and I ordered it. It's going to be coming, I don't know. It just shipped today. So we'll be breaking it down, but he came out with a live action trailer for it. And I didn't even tell anybody this. I'll get back to Trump in a second. He did a live action trailer for it. And my kids and I were I didn't know it was going to be live action. I don't think anybody knew unless you were in the circle. And my kids and I were going to do a live react to the live action trailer. And it was a good trailer. It was not a bad trailer, but we were expecting the animation. And the live react was not good, so I never released it. But I want to do one for the animation because it kind of links with the previous animation. It would have been different. I think there would have been a problem if he had started with live action and then went to animation. Just switching it up without knowing is probably half the problem there. But I fully support the live animation too. It was just the whole vibe of the animation and bringing back that kind of, everybody's thinking about, like, you know, back in the day when you watch cartoons or good animation. Let's take a look here. Let me, not sure. Please get specific. People don't understand how lame that trial was, past the limitations, unconditional instructions, and the instructions. I didn't plan on getting to the detail. I mean, I'm just so beyond. Maybe I'll get into the mood down the road. I'm so beyond going over the details of this thing. What does that matter? The only thing that matters is power. They had the power to do it, and there's no consequences for it. That's problematic. You cannot live like this. So I didn't even, I can break it down, but because I have gotten into that nerdy details, I have kept on to it with it. So if you want to be specific, let's do it. A lot of people with those kind of comments, they're very vague. They're very, very vague. And I think I'm pretty fair about it too. ABC's Mary Bruce says there were cheers inside the Biden headquarters in Wilmington as the verdict was read. They couldn't even hide it. She added, these guilty verdicts are a political gift to Democrats. I want to talk about that. Let's play the clip and let's talk about this. It's just a minute, 30-second clip.
Our team has heard that there were cheers inside the Biden headquarters in Wilmington as the verdict. Our team has heard that there were cheers inside the Biden headquarters. Our team has heard that there were cheers inside the Biden headquarters in Wilmington as the verdict was read. Look, President Biden has been very careful in the last weeks not to comment on this trial. That, I have been told, will now change now that we have.
He was very careful because he was told, this is going to happen. We all knew it was going to happen. Just wait until it happens. Then you can do your thing.
A verdict. Obviously, these guilty verdicts are a political gift to Democrats, a political gift to the president. He is now running against a convicted felon. But don't expect the president to completely upend his campaign messaging because of this, I am told. This verdict is not now going to somehow become the centerpiece of his messaging to the American people.
Does anybody kind of miss when the deep state wanted to do something? It was kind of quick, clean, and easy. Even though it's messy, it's ugly. We don't want that to happen, but dang, it's almost like this is worse. It was almost clean when they just had some dude sit up in a tower and just handle it. This is almost worse. It's like death by 1,000 cuts.
Biden team is very well aware of former President Trump's argument, as we just heard, his claims that this is all somehow rigged. The president doesn't want to be overly celebratory and feed in to that narrative that this was somehow a witch hunt concocted by President Biden. He has been adamant that he had nothing to do with this. He has said that he has never had a single conversation with anyone in his administration, with the Justice Department, anyone about Donald Trump's legal troubles. What you can expect the president do, though, is to continue to argue that Donald Trump, he believes, is unfit to serve, and he will make the argument that ultimately it is up to voters to decide Donald Trump's future, because as we have been noted, even if he does face any kind of prison time, that is likely, unlikely, but even if it does happen, not likely to happen, certainly before an election. And so the president is going to make the argument.
I don't know about that. Lawyers, talk to me here. How do we know what's more? It's possible. To my understanding, when sentencing comes, the judge could say it starts right today. I mean, they got to work out the logistics of the Secret Service. I don't think they'll be able to pass a bill. I know one of the black bootlickers, Benny Thompson, I think he sponsored the bill to say, if you've been like they already knew, if you've been convicted, I believe, of a felon, you lose a felony. I believe that's what it said. I forgot. I covered it a while back. That you would lose Secret Service protection. But I don't see how that could pass. So the only way somebody could lose Secret Service protection is if Congress does a law, to my knowledge. I did that a while back where I looked it up. Hippie Fukin, let's just say that, 69, greetings from behind enemy lines in northern California. Appreciate you. On Rumble. So I do have Rumble hooked up. and I can pull your comments. If you're listening on Rumble, I apologize. I can't. It's hard for me to jump back and forth, but StreamYard has it. I wish they would get X too. That'd be lit. Hippie says the Civil War has started. Yeah, non-kinetically, yes. It's been going. Clearly has started. Krista Free says there's not going to be a civil war. That's what they want. See, I see that's what Mike Has-Been-Needs was talking about. Let me finish your comment there. I'll come back to that. Trump will appeal and it'll be overturned. Triggers so many problems with the judge's actions, particularly the instructions. So I do agree. But here's my thing, Krista. Thank you for the comment. So your first part is there's not going to be a civil war. There's a greater than 0% chance of that. So, but I agree with you. Ultimately, I don't think people have the energy for that. People are submissive. People don't want liberty. The country was started, basically, the Revolutionary War was a civil war, basically, between us and, the country at the time and Great Britain. And so for liberty, it comes with understanding power. I'm looking at you, libertarians, and fighting for it. If you don't fight for it, you don't have liberty. So I agree. We're not going to have a civil war. Okay, I pretty much agree with that. That's what they want. They want a civil war. That's the same question Mike Has-Been-Needs brought up. I don't know. I am not sold on that they want a civil war. I'm not sold on that. They don't want if they wanted a civil war, they could do that. I mean, they could basically manufacture it. I don't think that's what they want. That what they're doing is actually they're trying to take over the country without a civil war. That's what's happening. They're doing a very good job. Who's covering this? People are saying this is election interference. How many people are saying this is sedition? Treason. It's straight up. It's straight up insurrection. Trump will appeal, and I agree on appeal. I don't think it will stand up, but that's almost irrelevant, though. At this point, there has to be a retaliation. There has to be. There has to be a retaliation, peaceful, non-kinetic, through the court system, however it's done, to retaliate for this, regardless of it, whether it's overturned or not. But there's not going to be one. So, yeah, I agree. I don't think it stands. I don't think it will stand at all. It'll be a very strong rebuke. But what does that do? They've already accomplished what they wanted to accomplish. They've hampered him from campaigning. They're trying to smear him as a convicted felon. They've already done what they set out to do.
That this ultimately comes down to the ballot.
So that's the clip there.
So our team has heard that there were cheers inside the Biden headquarters in Wilmington as the verdict was read.
It's interesting that they allowed that on the air or reported on that because it doesn't reflect well on them. We heard that there was cheers. Young Hillary, or not so young Hillary. Young Hillary was allegedly with Pete Davidson. That's another topic for another day. Ye brought that up. Old Hillary says, anything going on today? To basically applause.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anything going on today? Thank you.
You realize these aren't the good guys, right? I think that's pretty clear. I know sometimes it's kind of confusing on who's good, who's bad. This is not a good guy.
Thank you so much. Anything going on today?
That's a savage woman right there. That's a savage. She is no joke.
Thank you so much. Anything going on today?
How many cackling hens are in that audience? I hate to say it because we only have 1 or 2 women that follow the channel. But I got some serious questions about the involvement of women in politics. This is how do y'all think about women being involved with politics?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anything going on today?
I mean, maybe there's a reason why when we started this thing out, they weren't involved. What is this? I mean, this is problematic. Am I out of line for wondering about this? I mean, look at that look on her face. That's crazy, man. They are emotional, unhinged. They know they're unhinged. That's why they're yelling like that. Cuz it doesn't even sound like a natural like applaud. It sounds forced.
Hey.
And then she just waits for the applause like it almost feels like if you don't, you're going to get a knock on the door. That woman right there, man. Woo! She looked like she will off you in a second if she needs to. That's the look and vibe I get from her. She is crazy. My goodness. But this is the biggest white pill I thought of the whole day. People talking about boycotting New York. I need more conversation about this. This is from Grok on X, which does get things wrong, but this is just basically talking about the talk on social media, so it's pretty accurate with that. A series of social media posts advocate for a boycott of New York, citing perceived injustices and threats to the Constitution. Users express strong support for boycotting New York businesses, products, and services, with some calling for a comprehensive list of New York-based companies to boycott. The posts reflect a mix of political views and opinions on the current state of affairs in New York, with some users questioning the effectiveness of the boycott or mocking the idea. Just to give you a taste. Tim Pool says truckers should boycott NY. Mike Speranza says, should I take my business and leave NY? Just for your own safety, probably. Tara Bull, if you're in New York and you're asking if you should leave New York, you should leave New York. Tara Bull, who's really, it seems like she's blown up a lot on X. Damn. Yeah, so who is that? Spaces host, maybe it's the Spaces. I've seen some people using Spaces. I guess you can blow up with Spaces. She got damn near 1 million followers. That's crazy. She's great. That's not no diss there. She's really good. Viva Fry says, get out of New York. That's Letitia James there. So you got a taste of what's going on. Jonathan Turley, who's kind of, he's okay, but he's kind of, Scott Adams. I like the Scott Adams energy. I like the Scott Adams. Ever since Scott Adams, what did he say again? Ever since Scott Adams said something to the effect of stay the hell away from them, and when I say them, we know who I'm talking about. His energy's been in the right place. Scott Adams says, I'm declining all business and travel involving NYC. I believe him too. Time to boycott New York in every way possible. This is good energy here. This isn't any, I'm going to talk about it a little bit. I should have probably reordered it. He's going to win the election. I know there's probably a lot of people in the chat who would talk about that too. Trump's going to win the 2024 election. What the hell? I don't give a damn about an election at this point. We're beyond that chapter. In the story of American history, we are beyond the general election chapter, worrying about who won that or not. This is the energy boycott. That's the separation. This is secession right here. These are secessionist discussions. Viva says everyone should boycott New York. Everyone should pull their businesses out of New York. Everyone should pull their money out of New York. Everyone should pull their investments out of New York. It's impossible, but this is the energy for some of that. And everyone should move out of New York. Give the commies the wasteland they deserve. That's what I'm talking about. When we look at what needs to be done, that is the energy. And there is actually a lot that can be done. Let's go to the Ron DeSantis statement, and I'll tell you why I don't like the statement. Ron DeSantis weighed in. His post, last I saw, had over 5 million views, has 6.6 million now. From the desk of Ron DeSantis, today's verdict represents the culmination of a legal process that has been bent to the political will of the actors involved, a leftist prosecutor, a partisan judge, and a jury reflective of one of the most liberal enclaves in America, all in an effort to get Donald Trump. Notice when I'm going to continue reading this, he doesn't say anything. I haven't seen any public statement positive from Ron DeSantis about Donald Trump. Some people on the channel told me that there was a different, I couldn't find it, that maybe it was like an oppressor on some speech where he said some positive things about Trump, but I haven't heard it. I can't tell you the last time I heard him say something positive about Trump. That this case involving alleged misdemeanor business records violations from nearly a decade ago was even brought is a testament to the political debasement of the justice system in places like New York City. It actually looks like it was written by ChatGPT. I could be wrong. This is especially true considering this same district attorney routinely excuses criminal conduct in a way that has endangered law-abiding citizens in his jurisdiction. It is often said that no one is above the law, but it is also true that no one is below the law. If the defendant were not Donald Trump, this case would never have been brought. The judge would have never issued similar rulings, and the jury would have never returned a guilty verdict. In America, the rule of law should be applied in a dispassionate, even-handed manner, not become captive to the political agenda of some kangaroo court. And here's the problem why I don't have this. So Joey says you try to take him out in the election, the primary. I'll never be able to forgive it. That's not my problem with it. My problem with it is that it means nothing. There are things that Ron DeSantis could do. And let me see if I can pull that up right here. I went through it. I've already done this before, but I did it again to update it real quick to go through, well, what can be done? That's the natural question. I perfectly agree with everybody. Some of these are more relevant than others. Economic sanctions. This is one I thought about this when, was it Grissom? What's the governor of New Mexico? Was it, forgot her name, when she suspended the Second Amendment? This is when I first talked about this stuff. The governor of New Mexico, that weird woman, Grissom, Michelle Grissom. When she did that suspension of the Second Amendment, I said this is what should happen. Economic sanctions, yeah? All of a sudden, I'm anti-sanctions, but here's my thing. So you could say I'm inconsistent because I'm very anti-sanctions from the U.S. government to other countries. But here's my thing. I don't want us to be a country. If we are able to peacefully negotiate a separations, then there's no need for sanctions. In fact, not only is there no need for sanctions, we can now resume trade. We can actually interact. Even though I know you're a demonic part of the world, we trade with China, we trade with all different people with different backgrounds from our country. We have Israel. Israel is one of the most demonic governments possible. burning women and children alive, doing the worst imaginable things, and call it justified. So we can still trade with each other after we find out that we shouldn't be married together. But if we're going to stay together, then sanctions, yeah, I absolutely do support economic sanctions. Problem is, New York is very important, but I think it would still work. This has to start with the local level up. If your state has a trifecta of red, then let's make sure that it's the right type of red. Implementing policies to discourage or prohibit state contracts with New York-based businesses. Why aren't we talking about that? DeSantis, you had that statement. Why aren't you? What are you doing? There's a lot you can do. You have a trifecta in your state. Promoting, yeah, you can promote buy local type stuff. Yeah, do a whole type of thing like, hey, we're going to buy local. All those New Yorkers come down here to live. All those New Yorkers, including AOC. Remember AOC and her redheaded Birkenstock wearing dude came on through to Florida during the pandemic. They all come through here. Let's keep the goods here, and they can all come through, but we're not going to be exchanging goods back and forth with them. Later on, it will say coalition of states. Legal measures, launching investigations into New York-based companies operating within their states. Ooh, I like that one. Launching investigations into New York-based companies operating within their states to increase regulatory scrutiny. Why isn't DeSantis doing that? So if anybody asks you what could be done, there's plenty that could be done. And Ron DeSantis, he's the one that's right on it. He's always doing it. It doesn't matter what is it. I got you. So come get this. Launch some investigations. This is not as good, but filing amicus briefs in support of Trump's legal challenges, I would expect that. Passing resolutions condemning, I'm not big on resolutions. So, like I said, some of it's more. I just want to put it all out there, see we already got some good ones in here. Enacting laws that counteract or nullify the impact of New York's legal decisions within their own jurisdictions where applicable. What I would say with that is safe haven. I've been saying that they have a sanctuary state, city state for illegals. You can do that for Grandpappy or anybody else. Interstate collaboration, forming coalitions, like I said, with other states to collectively boycott or impose sanctions on New York. Coordinating legal and economic strategies to amplify the impact of retaliatory measures. Then you can do public campaigns and all that and try to put political pressure. It says lobbying federal representatives. It doesn't understand that these blue states are working with the feds. That's why it's part of the reason why I think Donald Trump said no time for retribution, because he would have to fight the feds to get the feds to do retribution. He's like, this is going to be too much. But he needs to articulate that. He's a very good orator. In fact, he can put it in very layman's terms. He shouldn't just be saying, I have no time for retribution and all that. He needs to articulate his take. Here's Kash Patel. Then I'll read some comments. I didn't like this comment from Kash Patel. Let me know if I'm off. Just thought it was very vague and uncash-like. This ain't cash money right here.
All right, your reaction to this, Kash. What should we be taking away from this?
My reaction is what you just saw the 45th and 47th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, say. He could have been vengeful. He could have been taking a position of revenge and spite. Instead, you know what he did? He doubled down on his desire to protect our Constitution, to protect our constitutional way of life, and to make sure that no other American ever again in the history of our country is ever put through the weaponized system of justice that we just saw President Trump go through day in and day out for 7-some weeks. And to that, we owe that man more than the tip of our hat. To that, we owe him the following message, that we will never bend the knee to these government gangsters. We will never bend the knee to the corrupt media that planted up this Biden-rigged election cycle. And we will never bend the knee to people who want to incinerate our Constitution. If Donald Trump is continuing to fight for us, then we must continue to fight for him, because the rule of law matters more than anything.
The rule of law.
Grant.
All right, your reaction to this, Cash. What should we be taking away from this?
My reaction is what you just saw the 45th and 47th president of the United States, Donald J. Trump, say. He could have.
See, that's corny. So it's just a clip, but it says jury rules Trump guilty on all counts, and he asks, "What do you think about this?" So you come out the gate with, "He's going to win the next presidency," huh?
Grant.
All right, your reaction to this, Cash. What should we be taking away from this?
My reaction is what you just saw the 45th and 47th president of the United States.
That's corny, man. I don't like that. I mean, to me, the reaction is the experiment is over. What's the line? I thought I had the drop. Do I not have the drop from Carl Benjamin? I know friend of the show, Cyan, loves that drop too. I don't even think I put that drop on here. That's crazy. The one where Carl Benjamin's like, it's over. It's over. It's just a matter of who's going to win the battle of the ashes, of figurative ashes of America. That's kind of the take. Tucker Carlson had a take where he was like, anybody who supports this verdict is a danger to you and your family. That's a take. That's where we're at. I mean, that's not even an amazing take, but that's a real take. So Cash, I mean, he's very invested in the election, so I understand why, but I just can't get with that.
It's Donald J. Trump say. He could have been vengeful. He could have been taking a position of revenge and spite. Instead, you know what he did? He doubled down on his.
So I think he has some talking points there with him because he's looking off to the side. I like Cash when Cash is just like off the top, man, like not rehearsed.
Trump say. He could have been vengeful. He could have been taking a position of.
He probably just had notes there. I'm not trying to diss him on that. It's just he doesn't feel like this is like real Cash Patel.
Say. He could have been vengeful. He could have been taking a position of revenge and spite. Instead, you know what he did?
Well, why isn't he? And I like the word retribution because it's a lot more, I guess, righteous than revenge. But, I mean, this is warfare. And you're trying to say, well, I need a different energy from Trump.
J. Trump say. He could have been vengeful. He could have been taking a position of revenge. And
why not? I honestly, tell me why. Why shouldn't he be more? You can't get bullied all over the place. At some point, you have to be like, I'm not getting bullied by you. I'm not. And I've got some power. I've got some influence. Peacefully, there's going to be retaliation. He was the one that said, I'm going to lock you up, to Hillary.
He could have been vengeful. He could have been taking a position of revenge and spite. Instead, you know what he did? He doubled down on his desire to protect our Constitution, to protect our constitutional way of life.
So you see, Cash is trying to keep you in the system. Why?
And spite. Instead, you know what he did? He doubled down on his desire to protect our Constitution, to protect our constitutional way of life, and to make sure that no other American ever again in the history of our country is ever put through the weaponized system of justice that we just saw President Trump go through day in and day out for 7-some weeks. And to that...
How? I don't understand how. They put him through it. They're going to put anybody through it. And, you know, I talked about Nick Rekieta. I think Nick Rekieta, I listened to Robert Barnes' take on this, and Robert Barnes is on a block spree. He blocked Nate the lawyer, and I don't know. Barnes, just mute him. Why are you blocking people? This is weird, man. It makes me lose a little bit of respect for Barnes. Just do a mute or something. But Robert Barnes talked about it and was like, this could be lawfare. I'm not justifying Nick's behavior. It's not for me. He's going to have to do whatever he needs to do for his family and his household. I can tell you his behavior is not for me. That would be demonic. I mean, that would be me falling into demons, basically, to be doing what he's doing or was allegedly doing. But that doesn't mean that lawfare couldn't be used against him. He's been very outspoken, and there's questions with how the whole process was handled with the mandatory reporter and all that. it could be lawfare too. The Tim Pool, Stephen Crowder lawsuit could be lawfare. We know for a fact the Alex Jones one was. Peter Navarro, all that. We're dealing with lawfare here. And I don't understand how is Trump doing something to prevent it?
Again in the history of our country is ever put through the weaponized system of justice that we just saw President, and to make sure that no other American ever again in the history of our country.
You see, am I off here? He's looking off to the notes, and if you're gonna have notes, because I have notes right here, you'll see me looking. I don't have notes on this one, but sometimes you'll see me looking at notes, and it's gotta be to trigger the net. Basically, the notes are so you don't forget. You're just doing your natural stuff and you don't forget. He's too packaged here. I'm missing something. How is Donald Trump doing anything that would stop this from happening to anybody else?
To protect our constitutional way of life and to make sure that no other American ever again in the history of our country is ever put through the weaponized system of justice that we just saw President Trump go through day in and day out for 7-some weeks. And to that, we owe that man more than the tip of our hat. To that, we owe him the following message that we will never bend the knee to these government gangsters.
Well, I support Trump in this endeavor for sure, but do we owe Trump? I don't know if I would say that. I respect Trump, grateful for Trump. I don't know if I like the word I owe. What do I owe Trump? I don't know about that one.
In some weeks. And to that, we owe that man more than the tip of our hat. To that, we owe him the following message that we will never bend the knee to these.
No, I don't owe him anything. In fact, we were chatting today. This is a little bit off topic of this, but chatting today, Nick on X is so good, man, because he brings up topics that a lot of people haven't really bubbled up to the exposure that he does. And he's been critical of Trump recently. And we were talking about it, and I was like, because here's what happened. I think Nick has been critical of Donald Trump. I'm going to take a side mission and go on to that. Because this is on the topic of the reason why I'm taking this side mission. I'm saying this for myself, so don't forget. The reason why I'm taking this side mission is because I don't like the word owe when we're talking about a politician. I owe a politician something? That's a strong statement. They're a public servant. What the hell would I have to owe them? I mean, I that doesn't mean I'm not grateful. Maybe it's just semantics. But let me show you what I'm seeing here. And it came up with young Nick. I'll just do this because maybe this could be a separate segment, actually. Young Nick said, we had this conversation here. It started with young Nick saying this. This is before the verdict, though. But he said this. I don't know if I will vote for Trump in 2024. Nick Fury. I think I probably will, but only because the alternative is a complete disaster. It is sad that Trump has become another lesser of two evils, Republican. In 2016, I was actually excited to vote for Trump. In 2020, less so. Now, nah. That's pretty strong criticism from Nick. I mean, that's the strongest criticism I've ever seen from Nick on Trump. And why did it happen? Let me give a shout out to, because these accounts trigger me to like kind of get my thoughts together. Rob Petrie said, here's my theory. Fuentes knows his endorsement could be toxic, so he told Trump in person that he supports him, but holding back on a full endorsement. And I think I had a reply to that was wrong, because I disagree with that statement. But then I was like, okay, wait, no, I actually got it. I don't agree with that. It could be right. Who knows? But here's my take. Why is Nick so harsh right now? I think Nick is vocal about Donald Trump not being guaranteed his vote because of what happened with the Libertarian Party convention. Donald Trump took the time in the middle of this, right before he got convicted, first president ever convicted of a felony. He took his time to go to the Libertarian Party National Convention. Trump did. Trump took his time, his valuable time, to go there. He went there to offer a deal to them. But I think Nick is like, wait a second. Why didn't you agree to speak at my event, AFPAC? I believe it's June 15th, if I'm not mistaken. Detroit. I think that's what Nick's looking at. Nick's like, wait a second. You went to go talk to them, to offer them a deal? They're a bunch of idiots. The non-Mises ones. If you would have just went to just the Mises people, that's one thing. Nick would still be jealous. I think Nick's jealous. I don't blame him. I agree with it, if that's his take. Why didn't Trump go to, or it hasn't happened yet, but why hasn't Trump agreed to go to AFPAC? Why not? You went to the libertarians. I understand there's this stigma around AFPAC. And that doesn't, what does that have to do? Why would Nick feel different about that just because there's a stigma there? When the stigma is absolutely incorrect. Nick's on lives talking about how Ye, as dark as I am, Ye is one of his favorite, one of his heroes. Standing for Candace Owens. Great friends with Laura Loomer. And he has to hear all this stuff about what he is and what he isn't. Friends with Bryson Gray. We had the story on Bryson Gray came on the Weekly Rumble and he's told us how he met Nick. He said something like, Nick said something and I thought it was off. And Nick reached out to me and said, hey, I don't know how. Nick reached out to Bryson Gray and said, let's play some Fortnite or something like that and we'll talk about it. That's the guy that's supposed to be whatever label you put on him. So I don't care about the stick. I don't care. Why would he go to the libertarians? America First is a stronger movement. Yeah, I said it. America First is a stronger movement than the Libertarian Party. I love the libertarians. Mises Caucus ones. The other ones, it's tough, man. I don't want to have beef with them. I kind of like them as people, but they are really politically stupid. They are really politically stupid. Really, really bad. They don't understand power. They're in this club. Really annoying. But so Nick is looking at it like, you went over there. What? Donald Trump has not gone to Nick Fuentes, in my opinion, this is me speaking, in part because that vote's in the bag. We got the stigma, I got it. But also, but Nick has a lot of young, mostly young white men. You want that vote? Well, Marjorie Taylor Greene went there. Was there Paul Gosar went and spoke at Back 3? I'm trying to think what other politicians. Those are only two I remember or I know of. AFPAC 3 is when I started following Nick, right around the same time. So I don't even know the history before that. Trump has not gone to Nick Fuentes. The America First movement cannot make the same mistake that the blacks do. The blacks vote blue no matter who. Why? Because reasons. America First can't vote Trump no matter what. Especially not with him being Zio. There's no excuse for that. That's the quickest way towards political irrelevancy. You have to make these people work to get your vote. I support Nick. I like the America First movement, not just in general, the one led by young Nick Fury. Donald Trump hasn't shown that any love. What do I owe him for? What risk has he taken? This person replied, Trump was never expected to attend AFPAC. Trump was never expected to attend AFPAC. I was like, why not? Why is Trump not expected to attend AFPAC? That should be problematic for the Groypers in AFPAC. especially with him being Zio, as I said, especially after he went to the Libertarians and got booed. He went to the Libertarians and got booed. Why wouldn't he go to a group that largely supports him, even if it's just a pander? A group who is misconstrued in the media, just like he is. What's the latest thing on Trump? They said Trump dropped the Niger. I think they're trying to talk with the hard ER. I don't know. A group that's smeared and lied about just like Trump. And they still support him. I said that's worse than the blacks. The blacks vote blue no matter who. AFPAC votes Trump no matter what. Nick's changing that, though. You can see that. Like, that vote's not guaranteed. But AFPAC votes Trump no matter what. But at least the blacks, they expect Biden to come through. I mean, to go to Morehouse and make a speech and pander and do something. Give us some love. He's not, they don't, he's not, he doesn't have to do anything tangible for them, but at least show them love by coming through and speaking. So no, I don't know what Cash Patel's talking about. I don't know Trump anything. If Trump would have put his life on the line, maybe it's maybe like where I said nah, I'm not going in for arraignment. Come holler at me. I'll be at Mar-a-Lago. You know where I live. You do that lethal authorization of force again. That's something. That's something on the line where I think you could say Trump's trying to do this for protection. Trump's trying to do this for you. So that's my thought on the Cash Patel stuff, and then it got sidetracked to Nick. But yeah, I don't. Cash Patel. If this gets clipped up, Cash Patel said you should be grateful to Trump. You owe Trump. Nah, I don't like that verbiage. I'm not with that verbiage, Cash.
History of our country is ever put through the weaponized system of justice that we just saw President Trump go through day in and day out for 7 some weeks. And to that, we owe that man more than the tip of our hat. To that, we owe him the following message: that we will never bend the knee to these government gangsters. We will never bend the knee to the corrupt media.
Nah, you haven't even come through and speak to AFPAC after the dinner. I think, didn't he disavow? I forgot. Let me not say that because I forgot after the dinner with Ye and Nick. I believe he disavowed.
Media that planted up this Biden-rigged election cycle, and we will never bend the knee to people who want to incinerate our Constitution. If Donald Trump is continuing to fight for us, then we must continue to fight for him because the rule of law matters more than anything.
Yeah.
No, we got to fight for our families. We got to fight for God. We've got to fight separate from Donald Trump. I think the interests coincide, but no, I'm not feeling that. This is another one that I wasn't feeling. How about this? I think some people got to slow their roll. I'll get to the comments after. Let me do this and then I'll get to the comments. Some people doing a little too much, I think.
So I just made a big donation to Donald Trump's campaign. I completely maxed out my credit card. And when I get paid tomorrow, guess what? I'm matching that donation again. Because I'm fucking tired of this bullshit. I'm tired of the tyranny from dictator Joe Biden. Fuck Judge Merchant and all these other communist tyrant minions of dictator Joe Biden. All right? This is our moment in history. Do you want to be free? Do you want to be an American? Do you want to have freedom? Then you got to stand up and you got to fight with everything you have. You got to donate like crazy to Donald Trump's campaign. You got to register voters to vote for Donald Trump. It's time to rise the fuck up against these communist motherfuckers. I'm done with these bitch-ass motherfuckers. I'm done. You stupid-ass motherfuckers keep trying to steal the election with another bullshit trial, another bullshit civil fucking fine. Fuck all y'all. It's a free country. We, the American people, will choose who we want for president, and Donald Trump will be the 47th president of the United States. There's nothing you can do to stop us. We're gonna break every fundraising record known to man donating to Donald Trump. We're gonna register so many voters, it'll make your fucking communist head spin.
Wow. I think that's the bra that was hemmed up with J6. I have nothing against him. He was out in these streets. I respect it. Even if I disagree, even if we know after the fact that it was not a good idea, much respect for being out there trying to do something. I don't know about this one, though.
So I just made a big donation to Donald Trump's campaign. I completely maxed out my credit card.
I don't know. Is that a little much to me? That's a little much. That's a little much. He said he maxed out his credit cards to do a donation to Donald Trump.
So I just made a big donation to Donald Trump's campaign. I completely maxed out my credit card. And when I get paid tomorrow, guess what? I'm matching that donation again.
Nah, I'm good. I'm good, man. But no, I appreciate your energy, man. There's nothing against you, but I'm not maxing out no credit card for a Donald Trump. There is no politician I am maxing out a credit card for. I got responsibilities to family, and Donald Trump he can go fund his own stuff. Donald Trump is a billionaire, multi-billionaire. That bro is all good. He doesn't need my money for me maxing out anything. If you want to do something like on a local level, even that that's a tough sell. To max out my credit cards for what? Interest rates kind of high. Max them out for what right now? Nah, I'm good. Let's take a look at the comments here. Mike Has Bad Knees says, I love mutant people. And I do like it. Well, here's what's going to happen on X, though. It's gonna be the block function is going to go away because everybody's blocking each other. And as time goes on, it's really going to be a problem. You can get around the block, but it's just so annoying. I don't even do it. I don't even do it. Maybe there's easier ways to do it, but I don't care that much. But it will damage the platform. It will absolutely damage the platform to the point where it'll be too echo chambery. And Munich people's good because it's easy. You still see that they said something. When they're blocked, they're just completely gone. Unless you do a workaround. When they're muted, you can still. Oh, I know. I only have a few people muted. The Krasenstein's brothers, I got them muted. Just a couple people. So I know that if I see that, it's probably one of them. Do I want to look at this one or not? I have, I think, Matt Wallace muted. So I like the mute. Just take the block away. Then Biden announces he authorized American weapons to be used inside of Russia. I didn't even talk about that. I kind of touched on it. Same day. Wow. Greg Wilson, what's up? Long time no see. You're talking about the former DOD secretary. Of course, he feels like he owes him. So what was that about? The former DOD secretary. Of course, he feels like he owes him. Is he a former DOD secretary? G-Man, you're thinking about Civil War from the 18th century. What's G-Man talking about? Let me go through. Bazu says, as a white guy, I had no idea some folks were fans. The reason I'm saying that is because of is it Candace? Maybe talking about Nick. Mike Has Bad Knees says, I'm pretty convinced that Nick could be another Enrique Tarrio. I've seen a lot of people say that. I don't know. Anybody could be an op. I don't say there's a greater than 0% chance, but I still like the movement. I still like what he's got to say. Yo, it's called balls. Toy Mafia. So that doesn't change my take on it. People come at me all the time. They say Nick is gay. They say Nick is an op. Could be. I don't know. He got hemmed up a little bit on J6. Some people say it wasn't enough. Okay. It's hard for me to say. I'm just going to touch on this a little bit, and then I'll end with a positive, and then maybe somewhat of a crazy one. There's this dude that's really good with his TikTok videos. I'm going to end with that. But I just didn't like this. This is another one I didn't like where everybody's like, this is what I was talking about when Trump is going to win 2024. Matt Walsh, as great as Matt Walsh is, wow, this is a bad tweet. Congratulations to Donald Trump on winning the 2024 presidential election. I was like, Matt, you're better than this. What a corny cope. We are well beyond elections. I'm I'm not even going to go from the standpoint of the elections aren't trustworthy to begin with. This is the same energy we had for the red wave and the midterms too. But even regardless of that, why are we talking about the election? Why is that even a topic right now? I don't even understand. So I know, it's just such a right-wing cope. And here's some people and just get a feel for what happened after the verdict from people.
Congratulations. Trump just won the election.
Trump just was convicted guilty, and he just won the 2024 election. Fucking congratulations, Donald Trump. New York City loves you. Robert De Niro, you're a rat, motherfucker.
Congratulations.
No, man. That looks like a cope, doesn't it? It looks like we don't know what to do, man. It's just not. It keeps getting worse. We don't know where it's going to stop. We don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know who is next. But we think it's going to backfire. Let's say if the elections were honest, yeah, it would backfire. But you have to say the elections were honest. And on top of that, then what? Megyn Kelly said something to the effect of, I don't know why Republicans are using this phrase, rue the day. Sounds like some type of Marvel villain. Megyn Kelly was like, I think she said something to the effect of, Democrats will rue the day. I'm like, what's going to happen? What you think there's going to be a red AG that prosecutes anybody even close to Donald Trump's prominence? Donald Trump is so important. He's bigger than Obama and Clinton combined. So they wouldn't even, there's no area in this country that would try to prosecute either one of them. Who would be prosecuted? They won't even prosecute Fauci. So I don't understand what is the thing that's going to happen if you vote for Donald Trump. And I think we have to honestly look at that and assess that to figure out what's the path forward. I don't think we can set a path forward unless we're honest about this, about, well, what's the possibility, what would happen, what could happen, what might happen, and what won't happen. It's just weird that verbiage. They're gonna rue the day. It's a very, very, I don't know, unnatural sounding verbiage. And I don't even know what the answer is to that. So I think the positive note is the America First and libertarian movements. I know libertarians had a rough weekend, but I think still, Comic Dave Smith, he converted over, I think it was 2018. He became a libertarian in 2018. And that's when he associated with the Libertarian Party. In 2022, the Mises Caucus took over the Libertarian Party. It was 2 years ago. It was like May of 2022. Literally 2 years ago. Within 2 years, they took over every major position, Mises Caucus, within the Libertarian Party. They got Trump, RFK, Vivek to run for president. Even though Dave didn't run, they have a solid candidate for president. They need to work on their bench strength. They've got Clint Russell. And after that, I don't know who else. Larry Sharp. They're weak there after those few. And then, they got Spike Cohen and others. But that's only 2 years ago. They've already made that much progress. So when I talk about the Libertarians Party and I'm negative on them, it's not the Mises Caucus, it's not Michael Heiss, it's not Angela McArdle. They're still doing their thing. This was a setback. Chase Oliver winning is a setback. Make no bones about it. It's an absolute setback. Seen some cringe takes about Chase Oliver too. I don't know if I should do a segment on that. I'll separate that. I'm going to look real quick to see if I do have something where I can quickly do the Chase stuff. Yeah, I'll do the Chase. I'll do a little bit of the Chase Oliver stuff. Let's off the topic of Trump. Going to the Libertarian Party nominated this dude for the presidential candidate this weekend. Man, it was a tough watch with all these different motions and people stalling the process. They stalled the process on purpose. And a lot of the libertarians, I don't know, the delegates or whatever, they had to go home. They're like, this is beyond the time that we scheduled for this. And Chase Oliver won. This guy right here. This is Chase Oliver in 2020.
And of course, for LGBTQ rights, I'm absolutely a supporter of those because those are issues that affect me personally, the people I love, and especially trans rights issues. You know, I tell people all the time, you know, all lives won't matter until Black lives matter, and Black lives won't matter until Black trans lives matter. There's an epidemic of violence going on, and I feel like John Lewis was a champion of those issues, and I want to continue to champion those issues. Whether I'm elected or not, I want to continue to speak to those issues, especially to our trans brothers and sisters who face so much discrimination and violence for just being their authentic selves. And that to me is a terrible thing. And it's something that I hope to voice opposition to and to help hold up those trans voices in our community. And of course, for LGBTQ rights, I'm absolutely a supporter of those because those are issues.
So for somebody who is not involved with what's happening and if somebody hasn't thought through these things very much, you might wonder, well, what's wrong with that? What's wrong with this? Trans rights and LGBTQ rights. They're rights. I support these rights. Keep in mind, this is a libertarian candidate.
And of course, for LGBTQ rights, I'm absolutely a supporter of those because those are issues that affect me personally, the people I love, and especially trans rights issues. You know, I tell people all the time, you know, all lives won't matter until Black lives matter, and Black lives won't matter until Black trans lives matter. There's an epidemic of violence going on, and
That's wild, man. That's a wild statement. I don't even know what that is. That's beyond politics. I don't even know what he's talking about there. But listen to this. Look at how some libertarians are, or people who call themselves libertarians. This is not my definition of a libertarian, but that's not a diss. We just have different views on what it means. Jeff Charles, who actually does really good writing, Jeff and I believe you pronounce it Donnie, they put me on to the Dexter Taylor problematic stuff. They're very important people in just news and influential. But this is cringe here. I mean, when you mix race into things, you can't have liberty. And Jeff Charles is a racial identitarian, no different than a Nick Fuentes, just on a different spectrum, says, damn, Ron, because everybody's talking, you just heard that, that's woke. That's woke. That's letting an authority outside of God define your moral compass. And everyone's going to call that woke. Black lives... the phrase Black Lives Matter is problematic. He went further than that. He said Black lives don't matter until Black trans lives don't matter. So that's woke beyond woke. But Jeff Charles, I guess, is defending it. He says, damn, Ron Paul was woke too. Next thing y'all are going to tell me he had a couple Black staffers or employees because of DEI. Say it ain't so. So he's going on this racial stuff. Why? Because I'm going to assume this quote is accurate. Ron Paul, the great Ron Paul, said, racism is simply an ugly form of collectivism, the mindset that views humans strictly as members of groups rather than individuals. And I don't know if Jeff is he's a smart guy, don't get me wrong. On this topic, I don't know if race turns him into being dense or just bad. I don't know if it's on purpose to defend Chase. Maybe he doesn't. I don't know where he stands on the Mises Caucus. Obviously, he doesn't seem like he likes the Mises Caucus, not with takes like this. I don't know how a smart person has a take that bad. The problem with, there's no excuse for Jeff not knowing. But for like your normal person off the street, they'll probably be like, oh, this Chase Oliver quote is perfect. These LGBTQ rights.
LGBTQ rights. I'm absolutely a supporter of those because those.
Well, the question that we need to ask is: remember, libertarians are for decentralization. What are these rights that you're talking about, Chase? And who gets to enforce these rights? Chase is a proponent of adding the Rainbow Coalition to the Civil Rights Act. That's what this is. So this is a libertarian focusing on giving the federal government more power. If you don't know, I am completely anti the Civil Rights Act of 1964. He wants to give the government more power, and he wants to give the government the power to impart its morality on you. There is nothing more anti-liberty than that. So Charles tries to say, well, look at what Ron Paul did. So we can use that, what we did there, on and talk about Ron Paul. But the problem is, Jeff, Ron Paul wasn't talking about rights. He's just talking about in general in that quote. When it comes to rights, Ron Paul, this is from 2011, said he would have opposed the 64 Civil Rights Act. Why? Because it's obviously anti-liberty. Even though he said those things about racism, he staunchly affirms people's right to be racist and a bigot or whatever you want to label somebody. Chase Oliver does not. And that's a significant problem. Just because he's anti-war, and I think his anti-war position seems pretty solid, doesn't mean I'm going to support him as a libertarian candidate for president. That means our interests can converge on anti-war, maybe a couple other things too. But I'm not supporting you for any type of anything. I don't know what happened to some of these libertarians. But I'm going to be out with it. This is a great video here. I'm going to stick around and watch it, just kind of chill. This bro does great work. I don't even remember his name. What's his name? What does he go by? I don't even remember. I follow him. I don't even remember his name. Somebody probably knows his name. Put it in the chat. Did the 3-letter agency elect Joe Biden? I think this is an appropriate way to end talking about the Trump stuff, because what we're talking about here hasn't stopped.
You want to know how the CIA steals elections? Part 1, we'll do America. Part 2, we'll do Ukraine. And if you're on the left, settle down. I voted with you my entire life. This is not a video about pro-Trump. This is a video about anti-corruption and anti-military industrial complex takeovers of our world. And if you're on the right, settle down. This video is not about Trump. This video is about the CIA. And what does the CIA have to do with Hunter Biden's Russian disinformation story? Well, you'll remember that when the Hunter Biden laptop story was published to the New York Post, weeks before the election, more than 50 former intelligence officials signed a letter saying that that was Russian disinfo. Although they didn't actually present any evidence, they just said that it's deeply suspicious that the Russian government played a significant role in the case. This letter was apparently delivered to Politico by Nick Shapiro, former top aide under CIA Director Brennan. Nick Shapiro has more than 15 years of crisis management experience in the White House, at the CIA, and in the private sector. Wonder what kind of crises he has experience managing. Anyways, this is the letter. This is just part of the extensive list of intelligence operatives that signed it. And I did not cherry pick these. These are literally just the first names on the list. Number 1, James Clapper, ex-director of national intelligence, who committed perjury for telling a congressional committee hearing that the NSA does not collect any type of data on millions of Americans. Nice. Number 2, Michael Hayden, who was the director of the NSA when they were doing that program.
That dude, Michael Hayden, is so unhinged. Go follow him on X. He is scary to see that dude had any kind of power in our country.
Oh yeah, and he's been accused of lying to Congress during the 2007 testimony about the CIA's enhanced interrogation program, i.e. torture. Nice. Those are just the first 2 on the list. It goes on and on. You get the point. So anyways, the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinfo because this letter, signed by a whole bunch of career CIA liars, said it seems like it probably is Russian disinfo. That was all the ammo they needed for Mr. Biden to cite that letter during presidential debates and on and on and on, as though it was fact. As reported by the New York Times, 3 years later, no concrete evidence has emerged to confirm the assertions that the laptop was Russian disinformation, and portions of its contents have been verified as authentic, as in, the whole thing has been verified as authentic. In fact, there were 3 laptops, not just one. And in fact, the House Judiciary Committee and Subcommittee on the Weaponization of Federal Government, i.e. corruption in our government, revealed that the same FBI personnel who were warning social media companies about a potential Russian hack and leak operation in the run-up to the election knew that the laptop belonged to Hunter was not Russian disinformation. And just wait, because we're getting to the part that you don't know about yet, where the CIA actually did war games on this very thing to prepare the media for how to report about it before it came out. Because the minute the New York Post reported about it, all the rest of the media went on full blitz mode. The Hill, PBS, CNN, NBC, the Boston Globe, Business Insider, Huffington Post, MSNBC. There was a coordinated campaign across all media to smear it as Russian disinformation, which is insanely ironic because a sad number of people have been taught to hate Trump so much. Like, sure, not a great guy, whatever, but you've been taught to hate Trump so much that you're not paying attention to court proceedings about your own president. This is the official report from the House Oversight Committee on Hunter Biden's influence peddling and the Biden family making money off of it. The Bidens and their associates have received over $20 million in payments from foreign entities. Over $20 million. That would be over $3 million from Romania, $6.5 million from Ukraine, and wait, $3.5 million from Russia, while they are calling the Hunter Biden story Russian disinformation. The House Oversight Committee published receipts with extensive financial forensics, right down to actual bank statements, actual wire transfers, actual accounts. But the media was so effective at discrediting it as Russian disinformation because they were prepared. In fact, just a month before, they had already had a special conference where they prepared for what they would do if there was some compromising leak about Hunter Biden. They all knew what he was up to. And so the Aspen Institute held a Hunter Biden exercise right before the election, where they went over a totally fictional 11-day scenario where what happens if someone leaks fake made-up information leaked by Russians about Hunter Biden's employment with the Ukrainian energy company Burisma. So to be clear, certain people within the Aspen Institute concocted a scenario that was framed as Hunter doesn't do anything wrong, but the other side is going to try to smear him, and maybe the Russians will release disinformation, falsely claiming that there's sketchy things going on with Hunter's finances. And so as news organizations, you should all be ready for Russian disinformation when it happens, because it would be really bad for our election if Russia were to do that. So they got everyone together, and this is the actual page 1 of the document of their scenarios that they went over, and all the different news agencies went over how they would respond. We're talking like MSNBC, CNN, Twitter, everyone was there. They literally war gamed out how to deal with this leak before it happened, because someone at the Aspen Institute suggested that maybe it would happen, and if it did, that would be Russian disinformation. So when it did, all the news agencies already were primed to believe that it was Russian disinformation. And so when a whole bunch of CIA operatives published this letter that claimed it was probably Russian disinformation, all these news agencies were already ready to accept that that was the truth. Because this institute called the Aspen Institute, that's funded by all the gigantic billionaire philanthropy foundation, and has literally been asking the CIA to be its buddy since the very first year it was founded, and to this day invites the director of the CIA every single year to give talks. That institute primed them to believe that it would be Russian disinformation. But it was very real, and you can go and look at it all for yourself if you want. I obviously can't show the pictures because this video is going to be on platforms like Instagram and TikTok. If you just go to bidenlaptopmedia.com, it's all there. And it is censored. It's got coloring out of anything censored, but you can clearly see what's going on. For Twitter, I'm going to briefly go over some of it now, and that part will be cut for the other platforms. Because the most fucked up thing of
I'm going to cut through this part here.
Israel, and you can probably use your brain to kind of make the connections between the CIA and Mossad and the aligned interests in the left children. And I know that most of you on the left are opposed to the war in Israel, and you can probably use your brain to kind of make the connections between the CIA and Mossad and the aligned interests in those deep government groups. So you have a president that was elected with help from the CIA, who now has 2 wars going on that the CIA is really big on, along with Lord knows what else in the shadows. I might mention that all of these CIA names that signed that letter, they have one thing in common. None of them were ever elected. You have never voted for any of these people, and yet they have worked in government in Central Intelligence Agency for years, decades, some of them. When conspiracy theorists talk about the deep state, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about intelligence agencies aligned with military-industrial complex interests, aligned with media organizations that we know the CIA has been influencing, buying off, and subverting for decades. All just pushing little bits of influence here and little bits of reporting there and covering things up there and flailing and flaming about things there to slowly push an agenda that is a little bit more enriching for them and a little bit more destructive for the whole rest of the world. So all y'all that voted for Biden last time, you really got to do some soul searching and think about who the hell are you going to vote for this time? Because burying your head in the sand is not helping.
We're all doing our part. God gave us gifts. God gave us gifts. Even if you go, wait, what's my gift? Your gift might just be getting involved, talking to your neighbors, making sure they're registered to vote. Your gift is so huge with your powerful voice and reaching people. I'm using the gifts God gave me, and this is our moment. God put us here for a reason, and I believe that reason is to save this country. That's why we were born at this moment in history, and I'm not going to let that opportunity to save this great nation fall away. I'm going to make sure that I do everything I can, and that means getting involved, waking up every day and say, God, I'm yours. Put me to work.